The Deload week. Music to every marathon runner's ears. But what are they and why do we need them? Well, this week I'm on week 4 of 16 of my London Marathon training plan, and this week is a deload week. So with all the extra time on my hands, I thought I would talk through just that. Let's debunk the myth of what a deload week is. I'm also going to be taking you along on my deload week long run, and I'm going to share how the training is going so far. 25% of the way through and just 12 weeks to go, which is exciting, slightly terrifying admittedly. So I'm going to get myself comfortable, get a cup of tea, and let's talk deload weeks. He's feeling very sorry for himself because he's hurt his leg, so he's on a running ban. So he's also having a deload week, but not by choice, bless him. So what is a deload week? You might have also heard people refer to it as a cutback week, a down week, whatever people want to call it, they're essentially describing the same thing. It is a programmed reduction in the volume or intensity of your training, or both. How should a deload week look? Well, it will vary massively. It depends what you're training for. It will also depend where you are in that training block. Often runners will reduce their mileage by around 10 to 40%. So for me this week, it's reduced by about 30% from 26 miles the 2 weeks before to 18 miles this week. My training sessions have also been less intense, so although I still did the same 3 runs, the target paces were just a lot more comfortable. So for my 16-week training block, I have got 3 deload weeks planned at week 4, 8 and 12, and then I've got a 2-week taper before the marathon on week 16. And these are all structured and embedded in my training plan. So I'll essentially be going through a blocked phase of 3 quite tough weeks and then a week for recovery. So why do we need a deload week? It can feel a little bit contradictory. You look at your training plan after weeks of getting fitter and stronger and see the mileage reduction and you think, hang on a minute, I'm training for a marathon here, this doesn't feel quite right. There's loads of research and evidence that really backs up that having set periods of time where your training load and intensity is brought back can ultimately in the long term improve your performance. Essentially, we're putting our bodies under progressive, increasing stress through the training, and a deload week gives your body that opportunity to properly rest, recover and adapt for all the hard work that you've put in the weeks previously. It also means that you can go into the next week feeling your fittest and most rested to be able to really tackle those hard sessions. It can also help to alleviate any underlying fatigue that might be building, and it can also give you a much needed mental break. When you're training for something like a marathon or any kind of endurance event, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. You're either training, thinking about training, talking about training. So having a deload week can give you more time to rest, recover, do different hobbies, to give you a mental break. Or if you're like me, you can use the extra time to talk more about running. But seriously, it is important to have that mental break. And psychologically for me, it's really great to know that every 4th week, I've got that little bit of a cutback to rest, recover physically and also mentally from thinking about marathon training all the time. Talking about marathon training, I've still got this long run to do, so I'm gonna get ready for that. In the meantime, if you've got any top tips or thoughts about deload weeks and how you embed them into your training, let me know in the comments, I'd appreciate it. Right. Get this cup of tea drank, get ready and get out there. Another beautiful day for a run. So I said I'd give a quick update on how my training is going generally. 4 weeks in, it's going pretty good. I've managed to get through the first 4 weeks without getting injured, which is better than I managed with Chicago last year. Got injured on week 1. So all in all, pleased with that. But in all seriousness, it is going good. So running wise, I've ticked off all of my runs. So I've ticked off my 3 runs a week. The weekly mileage is ticking up nicely. So I've got my 3 increments for those first 3 weeks, and then you've got the deload week this week. And if all goes to plan, I'll just repeat that 3 more times. So I'll have 3 increments on the mileage, a little dip, and repeat. In terms of like the target paces, I've been hitting them, but what runner does is it gives you a range, and I'll be honest, I'm hitting kind of the mid to lower end of the range, so there is a bit of room for improvement there. However, it's early days and my focus at the moment is still just kind of building into the plan, so I'm not going too crazy on those paces. I'm just trying to sneak in and comfortably hit them. Strength wise, also going pretty good. So I set myself, as I said in a previous video, a stretch goal to hit 3 strength sessions a week. So for the first 2 weeks I did 2 of those 3. To be honest, purposefully, because I'd had a bit of time off strength training and because there was an increase in the running mileage as well, I just didn't want to massively overload my body too much initially. So yeah, 2 sessions a week for the first 2 weeks, and then weeks 3 and 4, as you'll see, I've managed to tick off all 3 of them, which I'm really pleased with. So I'm going to try and keep that to get all sessions ticked off every week. As I said in my video last week, the only slight niggle that I had coming through was with my right leg, and it's a historical thing. It's what messed up my training for Chicago last year. It's not fully blown, it really is just kind of a niggle, but it has made me rethink a few things, hence keeping the paces sensible and not overdoing it too soon. I also think the issue was being aggravated a little bit by one of my running shoes, my Nike Tempos. The issue with my leg is kind of related to instability and a bit of overpronation, and the Tempos have got a really high stack and they're not a very stable shoe. And then combine that with the fact that I wear them for my speed sessions, just don't think it was a good combination. So we did a bit of research and I bought a new pair of trainers, Asics Nova Blasts, which still have a nice bounce, but they are much more stable. Used them for my tempo session this week, but they feel good, so I'm hoping that that is going to help with that too. So I've just reached my turnaround point. 10 points for Gryffindor if you recognise the tunnel behind me from one of my other videos.
Excellent, 10 points to Gryffindor.
So after today's run, that will have ticked me up to 90 miles ran on the plan so far. Just a casual 365 to go. Just slightly terrifying. So mileage wise, I'm 20% of the way through. Still a lot to go. And what's next? What do the next few weeks look like? For the next 3-week block, I'm going to be building up my weekly mileage to 33 miles, and the long runs are going to be increasing somewhat as well. So we're going to be going up to 15, 16 and then 17 miles on my long run, which right now, I'll be honest, feels quite intense, bearing in mind that this week I've run 17 miles and in 3 weeks just one run will be 17 miles. But there we go, that's marathon training for you. So that's how we're looking mileage and long run wise. Obviously my easy runs will stay easy, and then my structured kind of tempo and interval sessions, they're going to get a bit tougher too. So let's see how that goes. Over the next 8 weeks, I will hopefully be hitting the highest mileage weeks I've ever done, because although I've trained for a couple of marathons previously, I've just never been able to hit the high mileage. So with this training plan, as I've mentioned quite a lot, I'm really focusing on the strength training. So I'm really hoping that I can hit those peak weeks. But honestly right now, I have no idea if I will. So if you're as intrigued as I am, please do subscribe to follow along. As I said, I'm going to be sharing weekly updates here on YouTube and also on my Instagram as well. And I'm going to be documenting how these tougher weeks go through. And then when I hit my peak week, I'm going to do a full video of how peak week looks for Maisie. Can she do it? Honestly, who knows? For now, I'm going to stay in the present time, enjoy these comfortable miles, ready to build up the mileage again next week. So take care, and I'll see you soon.